Well, this feels more like a Tesla-only story when you look at just this fall in EV sales for them, that they're suffering across Europe, down 45% in January. The wider EV market in Europe up 37%, so rivals are catching up and performing.
Have you ever wondered what lies behind the headlines about large corporations relocating their production? What really happens when a company with a century-long history, a symbol of American agriculture, decides to move its factories abroad? Today, we'll tell you how John Deere, the agricultural equipment giant, found itself at the center of a major political and economic storm. A few days ago, the company announced a large-scale relocation of part of its production to Mexico, a move that prompted an immediate response from the US president and the threat of a 200% tariff on Deere products.
Spray paint to vandalize and make a statement. People in Southern California are getting notes on their Teslas, calling them complicit Nazis for owning electric cars.
This is not just a business decision, it is a battle for the future of the agricultural industry, an economic war in which the stakes are incredibly high. On the one hand, there is a corporate strategy for global competitiveness. On the other, there is pressure from nationalist politicians and demands to keep jobs in America. Against this backdrop, an unexpected conflict of ideas and technologies is unfolding. Elon Musk, one of the company's largest investors, has his own vision for the future of agriculture, satellite technology, and complete control through digital networks. At the same time, John Deere is betting on autonomous technology and artificial intelligence, which are already changing the face of farming and making competitors nervous.
We've accomplished more in 43 days than most administrations accomplished in 4 years or 8 years, and we are just getting started.
He praised all the domestic actions he has taken so far on immigration.
And I deployed the U.S. military and border patrol to repel the invasion of our country.
And spending cuts.
We are draining the swamp. It's very simple.
But what lies behind the facade of innovation? Why are farmers increasingly complaining about expensive repairs and dependence on software updates? How do the interests of large technology corporations and traditional manufacturers overlap? And most importantly, what does this mean for ordinary workers and the industry as a whole? Get ready to learn the truth about how two giants, two approaches, and two business philosophies are colliding. Today, we will delve into the history of John Deere, its struggle for survival and leadership, and find out who is really leading the agricultural revolution. Stay with us, because this story is just beginning, and its consequences will be felt not only by farmers, but by each and every one of us.
Does that help Tesla? I mean, you had Tim Waltz, who was a huge jerk.
The latest news from John Deere has caused a storm of discussion in US business and political circles. A few days ago, the company announced its intention to move a significant part of its production to Mexico, a decision that immediately provoked a sharp reaction at the highest level. President Donald Trump has promised to impose a 200% tariff on all products that John Deere attempts to sell in the United States if the company goes ahead with its plans. This ominous warning has sounded alarm bells, not only for John Deere, but for the entire agricultural machinery industry.
Well, you will hear people over in Europe say the new Model Y, the Juniper, could be a difference maker, but that's been in that market now for more than a month. And you would think that you'd see a greater snapback if it's going to be a difference maker. Look, we could be wrong. It could be a difference maker once you get the sales for April, May, and June. But when you have a country like Norway, I think the sales were down something like 11% there. I mean, that's a very savvy EV consumer in Norway. And that's long been a strength for Tesla. Very small market, not huge volume, but I think almost all of the vehicles they sell there are electric. And they embraced Tesla long before others. And, the reports there are not encouraging.
Heated debates are raging within the company, and the reaction of the public and experts is only adding fuel to the fire. Many see this not just as a conflict between business and the state, but as a deep rift between the economic interests of global corporations and national policies to protect jobs and industrial production. Critics of the move point to the risk of job losses in the US, the destruction of local communities, and the weakening of the country's industrial potential, which could have disastrous consequences for the economy and social stability. At the same time, John Deere's management justifies its actions by the need to optimize costs. increase efficiency, and strengthen competitiveness in the global market.
Outperforming as well in some cases, doing better than Tesla. And you just have to think, how much more is this a sustained issue for Tesla going forward, given the fact that you have Elon Musk, who's been very forthright in his opinions, particularly weighing in on politics, particularly in Europe. We've just had the European elections, which Musk has been very focused on. But across the piece, when you look at the performance for Tesla in Europe, it's not just in small countries. There are a lot of countries where Tesla has been performing badly, including in Germany, in the UK, where it has been lagging, and Spain as well.
This difficult and painful decision is linked to growing pressure on agricultural equipment manufacturers, who face fierce competition from foreign companies, instability in global supply chains, and the need to innovate with limited resources. The initiator of this strategic shift is the company's CEO, John May, whose management methods have provoked mixed reactions. His supporters see him as a visionary manager, capable of ensuring John Deere's stability and growth, while his opponents see him as a man who is jeopardizing the brand's legacy and the livelihoods of thousands of American workers.
Running around on stage with the Tesla stock price, where the stock price had gone in half. And he was overjoyed. What an evil thing to do. What a creep, what a jerk. Like who derives joy?
At the same time, government intervention, in the form of threats and political statements, is only complicating an already difficult situation, creating new challenges for negotiations and the search for compromise. One of the key players in this arena is Elon Musk, a major investor in John Deere, who has publicly expressed his support for the Trump administration's tariff policy and spoken out in favor of maintaining production capacity in the United States. His position is based on the belief that the national economy should be based on a strong domestic labor market and minimal dependence on foreign manufacturing. Musk calls on businesses to follow patriotic principles, reminding them of their moral responsibility to their country and society.
That's from the European Automobile Manufacturers Association. People just choosing with their wallets to not buy Teslas because of that Musk-Trump association. And actually here in London, an activist group called Everyone Hates Elon actually have been hacking bus stop signs with posters. I actually passed one yesterday. First, I wasn't quite sure what was happening, but it said the words 0 to 1939 in 3 seconds. Illusion here, 0 to 60 in like 3 seconds or something. But this poster was alluding to the start of World War II, and the image was of Musk giving that hand salute that we saw at Trump's inauguration that many have attacked as a Nazi gesture. Musk, though, has neither admitted or denied what he was doing. But we're seeing the knock-on effect of that anti-Musk anger across Europe and in terms of sales.
However, Musk's position has been met with fierce opposition from John Deere's management. John May argues for the need for global strategic positioning, emphasizing that supply chain restructuring and cost optimization are more important for the company's long-term success. He points to the rapidly changing geopolitical and economic environment, in which the ability to be flexible and adaptable is becoming a key factor for survival in the market. According to him, moving production facilities to Mexico will not only save money but also allow the company to integrate into new logistics networks that are forming in the context of globalization. This will enable John Deere to remain competitive in the face of growing pressure from foreign manufacturers.
I mean, the things that he's doing is not trying to make America better. He's ruining our infrastructure, every department in our government. He's ruining, and he's right now destroying our economy. He's taken away all of our allies. We're a pariah in the world.
The debate between Musk and May reflects a broader confrontation between nationalist economic policies and global corporate strategy. Nationalists focus on preserving jobs and strengthening the domestic market, while globalists point to the need for international cooperation and production optimization to reduce costs. This conflict not only reveals divisions within John Deere itself, but also illustrates the challenges facing modern transnational corporations in a changing world.
After Trump imposed those sweeping 25% tariffs on aluminum and steel imports, the European Union retaliating with tariffs on up to $28 billion of U.S. goods. Trump making it clear this isn't over, vowing to respond in kind with sweeping retaliatory tariffs early next month.
They're doing what they should be doing, perhaps, for the European Union, but it does create ill will. And as you know, we're going to be doing reciprocal tariffs. So whatever they charge us, we're charging them.
Canada also striking back with new tariffs on $20 billion worth of U.S. goods, mostly steel and aluminum, but also computers and sporting goods.
Public opinion and political sentiment in the U.S. have become sharply polarized on this issue. Many workers and their families are concerned about the loss of stability and prospects, while economists and business experts warn of the threats of trade wars and escalating tariff conflicts. The government's proposals to impose tough tariffs are aimed at curbing the relocation of manufacturing abroad, but could trigger retaliatory measures from other countries, exacerbating the global economic situation. With John Deere and other major industry players facing quick decisions, the political backdrop is becoming a decisive factor. It is not surprising that discussions and debates are continuing in a wide variety of circles, from board meetings to city council meetings and social media. These events show that in today's world, business and politics are closely intertwined, and corporate decisions affect not only economic indicators, but also the lives of millions of people. John Deere stands at a crossroads between preserving tradition and the need for innovation and adaptation, between national interests and global competition. The company faces a difficult path ahead in finding a balance and a strategy that will not only maintain its leadership, but also ensure sustainable development in the new environment. And in this drama, it is not only numbers and technology that play a key role, but also human destinies, national ambitions, and the philosophy of the future of global manufacturing.
A 371, most were saying 350 to 360. Now they're coming in at 336,068. Production of 362,615. So for some point of reference here, you're going back to Q2, maybe Q1 of 2022 in terms of the last time that they had production this or deliveries this low for one quarter. So again, Tesla deliveries worse than expected at just over 336,000 deliveries in the first quarter. Guys, I'll send it back to you.
That's horrible. Can I just ask Phil, how about the Cybertruck? How's that doing? You got a little inventory there in the Cybertruck?
John Deere has long taken a conservative approach to innovation, especially in the field of autonomous agricultural machinery. While competitors were actively introducing automation technologies, the company preferred to cautiously observe the market and gradually build up its capabilities. However, by the early 2020s, pressure from rapidly changing industry requirements and growing competition forced John Deere to radically change its strategy. In 2022, the company unveiled a large-scale project to introduce autonomous tractors and combines capable of operating with virtually no human involvement. This was a real revolution in agriculture and turned the concept of farm management on its head. The industry's reaction to this move was mixed. On the one hand, many farmers and experts recognized that autonomous machines could significantly increase efficiency and productivity, reduce costs, and solve the labor shortage problem that was acute in rural areas. On the other hand, critics pointed to the high cost of such technology, the complexity of maintenance, and the potential risks associated with breakdowns and software failures. Nevertheless, John Deere continued to refine its systems, integrating artificial intelligence and machine learning to improve equipment accuracy and safety. During this period, an unexpected player emerged, Elon Musk. Known for his passion for technological breakthroughs, Musk publicly criticized John Deere's traditional approach, considering it insufficiently progressive. He advocated the use of satellite technology and the global Starlink network to provide constant internet connectivity on farmland, which would enable more accurate real-time monitoring and management of processes. SpaceX and John Deere even entered into a partnership agreement to integrate satellite communications into autonomous equipment, which was an important step towards the digitalization of the agricultural sector. However, despite the collaboration, tensions remained between the parties due to differences in their vision for the future of agriculture.
Worse than expected, 336 and 68 vehicles, 336,068 vehicles delivered in the first quarter for Tesla. For a point of reference, the street was expecting, the street account was expecting, based on analyst expectations.
Satellite technology had a number of advantages, such as internet access in remote areas and the ability to collect large amounts of data, but it also had serious limitations, such as signal delays in adverse weather conditions, high operating costs, and the need for expensive equipment. For many farmers, autonomous machines with local control proved to be a more reliable solution, as they did not require a constant connection to external servers and provided greater autonomy. John Deere, in turn, opted for a hybrid approach, combining the advantages of autonomous systems with the capabilities of satellite communications, which allowed it to adapt to a wide range of conditions.
Hey Diane, this investigation really just beginning, and one of the key elements will of course be the surveillance video, and investigators potentially have a lot of it to work with as they try to figure out what caused this fire. We know that surveillance footage has been turned over, including video from each of the cars, which could prove vital to understanding what happened here, because each vehicle has its own camera system that works even when the car is off, and 16 cars burned in this fire, and right now investigators don't know what caused it.
The development and implementation of these technologies were accompanied by serious technical and economic challenges. The equipment required regular software updates, which sometimes caused equipment malfunctions, especially during critical periods of sowing or harvesting. High maintenance costs and the need for specialized service sometimes made the purchase of such equipment uneconomical for small farmers. In addition, compatibility issues with existing infrastructure and limited access to qualified repair specialists exacerbated the situation. All this caused concern among users, and to some extent slowed down the widespread adoption of innovations. Parallel to technological advances at John Deere, there was a heated debate about the management of intelligent systems in agricultural machinery. The use of proprietary software meant that repairs and updates could only be carried out by the company's authorized service centers, which limited farmers' independence and increased the cost of operating the equipment. Some farmers reportedly faced service delays of up to several weeks, and the cost of minor repairs could reach tens of thousands of dollars. This led to criticism from industry communities and even lawsuits against John Deere
over the last couple of months. But the other thing that this could potentially be is an attempt at readjustment or correction by the Trump administration, in that one of Trump's closest kind of allies and supporters, and someone who's clearly very influential in the administration, is coming out to kind of push back against the recently implemented policies. So I'm thinking, or maybe hopeful is the right word, that this might be a signal that the administration is considering walking back some of those policies.
The company attempted to mitigate these issues by developing an open system architecture that allowed for the use of modular components and easier maintenance. However, the need for high-tech equipment and software maintained a certain dependence on the manufacturer and complicated repair processes. These difficulties were exacerbated by a shortage of skilled technicians in rural areas, leading to equipment downtime and reduced agricultural efficiency.
KTLA Samantha Cortese joins us live with more on the wave of vandalism in protest of Elon Musk and his role in Washington. Sam?
Hi, Sharon, Micah. The ATF and FBI are collaborating with federal, state, and local law enforcement to investigate acts of domestic terrorism surrounding Teslas.
All these factors forced John Deere to balance technological progress with ease of use for end users. The company actively invested in research and development, striving to create systems that were not only innovative but also as adapted as possible to the realities of farm life. This included the development of artificial intelligence capable of predicting breakdowns and optimizing maintenance schedules, as well as tools for analyzing market conditions to help farmers make informed decisions. Meanwhile, the agricultural machinery market was becoming the arena for a fierce battle between different approaches to the digitalization of agriculture. While John Deere was betting on the gradual integration of autonomous and satellite technologies, other players, inspired by Elon Musk's ideas, were promoting the concept of fully satellite-controlled farms, which promised a higher level of global connectivity and data analysis. This conflict of views reflected a broader divide between traditional business methods and new technological trends.
Tesla shares have slumped by more than 9% amid a fall in sales in Europe. The electric vehicle maker posted lower sales across 5 European countries, including France and the UK. Joining us now to discuss this is CBS News foreign correspondent Remy Inocencio. Remy, why do we believe these sales are dropping? What's driving that?
Sure. Well, Errol, basically what Elon Musk has been talking about over the past, say, few months, ever since Donald Trump's election back to the White House, that has been fueling this anger, this frustration. Some even say disgust towards Musk, and they're taking it out on Tesla. Tesla now feeling the pain. But because of what's happening here in Europe, Tesla sales fell by nearly half across the continent just last month, 45%.
John Deere attempted to address these issues by introducing an open system architecture that allowed for the use of modular components and easier maintenance. This enabled some farms to reduce their dependence on centralized services and improve the maintainability of their equipment. However, it was not possible to completely eliminate high costs and operational complexity. Technical complexity and the need for regular updates remained a major obstacle to the widespread adoption of smart technologies in the agricultural sector.
But they are not ruling out the possibility that this was arson. At the same time, as you just mentioned, there are groups that have been organizing ongoing and peaceful protests at Tesla dealerships around the world. These demonstrations targeting Elon Musk and his affiliation with the Trump administration. Also, Italy's prime minister is said to be close friends with Musk, and there were reports that Teslas have been vandalized in her hometown in Italy. Diane.
In addition, infrastructure and equipment compatibility issues played a significant role. For autonomous equipment to work effectively, a stable internet signal and sufficient power supply were required, which was often problematic in rural areas due to a lack of skilled professionals and limited access to modern services. Many farmers struggled to keep their equipment in working order. These factors led to additional financial and operational risks that not everyone was willing to take.
Canada, the largest supplier of steel to the U.S., slapping new tariffs on $20 billion worth of U.S. goods that are sold in Canada. And the 27 countries of the European Union imposing retaliatory tariffs on up to $28 billion worth of U.S. goods sold in Europe, including Harley-Davidson motorcycles and Kentucky bourbon. President Trump with the Irish Prime Minister visiting the White House today. The president suggesting his tariffs won't stop here, saying, "Of course, I'm going to respond." And tonight, right here, the new poll showing 56% of Americans disapprove of President Trump's handling of the economy. The number's even worse now on the president's tariffs.
Environmental concerns also came to the fore. Despite the promise of smart systems to promote sustainable agriculture, the production and disposal of complex electronics and software generated significant amounts of electronic waste and consumed many resources. The use of such technologies, despite reducing direct fuel consumption, did not always reduce the overall carbon footprint, which drew criticism from environmental activists and experts. Parallel to these challenges, technological competition was also heating up. Elon Musk, known for his drive for innovation, criticized John Deere's approach, considering autonomous systems outdated and proposing fully satellite-based solutions with global coverage through the Starlink network. He argued that satellite technology provides more accurate and faster access to data, expanding farmers' capabilities and making agriculture fully digital. Despite John Deere's collaboration with SpaceX, tensions remain between the two giants, reflecting their conflicting approaches to the future of the industry. In this battle of ideas and technologies, John Deere sought to maintain a balance between innovation and the real needs of farmers. The company invested significant resources in the development of artificial intelligence, yield forecasting, and production process optimization, which helped increase efficiency and reduce costs. These steps help make high-tech solutions more accessible and useful for farms of all sizes, from large agricultural holdings to family farms.